Okay, just finished episode 8 of Vinland Saga. Spoilers coming. I'm a little confused. The end threw me a little bit. It started out with Askeladd's group and their 3 ships full of men. One of the ships that was taken from Thor's group in episode 4. It's the one that Thorfinn stowed away on. Anyway, they all went back home with their goods, and it seems like they're at a village that they contract with the leader of this village for them to stay there and be taken care of and fed. And since they made so much money in episode 7 when they attacked the French, the guy Askeladd was like, "Look," because the guy apparently is really really money hungry, and Askeladd was like, "I really don't care how much it is. I'll pay whatever it is. Just take care of my men." So then he said, pretty soon after that, after they go ashore, they see the people, everybody's all excited to be home or whatever. And then Askeladd is like, hey, he talks to the guy who is the head of this village. I forget what they call him. I can't remember. Anyway, he asks him to referee basically the duel between him and Askeladd, between himself, Askeladd, and Thorfinn, that he promised Thorfinn in the last episode. So it came pretty quickly, and I was surprised. So they do the duel, and Thorfinn showing off his skills. Askeladd is, he looks like he's taken off guard a couple of times, and then he starts playing mind games, and he gets Thorfinn to get very angry, and he took him out. He ends up dislocating his shoulder, and of course, he lets him live and walks away. And he's like, "You still have a lot to learn. You let your emotions get the best of you." So Thorfinn is obviously very upset. Later on, they're all eating and stuff, and Thorfinn was the person who was on watch, watching the boats, and his replacement came, and he told his replacement to go ahead because he wanted to stay out there. Um, Back up a little bit. The guy who's running this village, whose name I cannot remember, they call him something. I can't remember what it is. Um, and he has this young lady that's a slave that I guess she used to be royalty, and he captured her. So she's his slave. He complains because she doesn't work very hard, but she's really pretty. And there's one terrible scene where he beats her in front of everybody. It was a really existential scene, I'll say, because Askeladd is watching this, and a young man who has come over and complimenting Askeladd on the duel. And as they're watching this slave and how she's being treated, Askeladd makes the comment that the guy is beating his slave, acting as if he's not a slave to money himself. And he says everybody's a slave to something, which is probably very true, in my opinion. Anyway, it's something to think about. It's really deep when you get into it. But anyway, Askeladd's out on the boat by himself, watching the ship, and he has a vision of his father, Thor's. So you get to see Thor's again for a second, and Thor's is telling him calling him a crybaby because he's crying, and it's like he's still trying to get revenge and stuff, and he's trying to talk to him a little bit, and he tells him, which I think he told him before, nobody has enemies. So I promise you, nobody has enemies. And just as Thor is about to say something else to him, so yeah, it sounds like he's about to say a true warrior doesn't need a sword or doesn't need a weapon or something like that. Just as he's saying it, the young lady taps him and wakes him up out of his dream that he's having. And of course, he comes to his sword and puts it in her throat, which is kind of freaky, obviously. She had been sent out there by her master to feed him because he hadn't eaten yet. Because again, this guy's contracted by Askeladd to take care of the men, so he sends a slave out there to feed him. And they're talking, and he talks down to her a little bit, about how she should just kill the guy and get it over with. And, I would never let somebody treat me like that. And she's like, I could never kill somebody. And he's like, well, I guess you just want to be a slave the rest of your life. It's really um, dismissive. And then she talks about running away, and she's like, I wonder if I run, if I run as far as I can, um, I wonder if there's more out there, or if it's just more, slavery and, madness. And Thorfinn starts to tell her about Vinland, which is a story he was told as a kid about this lush green fields and there's no wars and this wonderful place that's supposed to be, wherever. Um, Way out at the end of the world is what they were told, if I remember right, at the beginning of the story. At any rate, he tells her this, and then it switches. The story switches, and they show Danish troops. Now, if I remember right, it's the Norwegians that want to attack England. But these Danish troops get together. I don't know if they're working with the Norwegians, if they're contracted by them, and there's also some hired warriors with them. And they go and they just ransack England. They go ripping through England. This, as far as I see right now, is completely detached from the Thorfinn story because they don't talk about anything that has to do with Askeladd or Thorfinn or Thors or anybody. But they said this troops come in and they run just straight through England and they just terrorize them until they get to London. And when they get to London, there's this like huge warrior guy who is who stops them. Um, and he's kind of making fun of him, like you should have brought more and wanted the war to last a little bit longer. So, and that's how it ended. Also, going back a little bit, something that bears mentioning is the Danish king. He has his son, his prince son, who looks like a big Thor looking dude from, Thor, not Thor's, but Thor from mythology, as in Thor and Loki and, Odin. He very much looks like Thor to me. But anyway, his son does. But his son is, I guess, inexperienced in battle, and one of the king's seconds is like, hey, you don't want your son to go to battle. The king's like, enough. He has to prove himself so that his men will have respect for him. So we'll see what comes of that. Again, it's very interesting getting into it really, really well. Askeladd's character is my favorite by far so far. I wonder what my son's going to think of that. Um, but I love the depth of his character. I like Thorfinn is cool, but he's a straight revenge guy. I just want to see what happens with him. But Askeladd's character is unbelievably complex to me. This guy, he has honor. He knows people very well. He will backstab you, but he has a reason for it. Yeah, I don't know. He has a weird twisted morality. I don't know. It's hard because he could have killed Thorfinn, but he didn't. And he knows Thorfinn wants to kill him and will kill him if he can, if he gets a chance. But he keeps keeping him alive. They've had two duels now, one when he was a little kid and this one. And both duels, he lets him live. So I'm trying to figure out what Askeladd's game is. It's very interesting to see how this plays out. And as far as the Danish, I don't know what to make of the Danish going in and attacking the English all of a sudden. But I'm assuming, obviously, it's going to meet up with what's going on with Askeladd's troops. Anyway, this video is way longer than I'm usually is, so I'm going to go now, and I'll be checking out episode 9 Monday.